Welcome to Audible Interlude, a G.I. Joe podcast. I'm your host, Dave West, codename Phantom Troublemaker.
And I'm your co-host, Noel Wood, codename Crapshoot.
And I'm your Cobra intern. My motto is tried and true. Listen to Audible Interlude, and I'll bet you'll say, oh, gee, I want to be Legion Cub too.
That's pretty factual, I have to say. You
Very.
would, if we were having a popularity contest, I think the Cobra intern statistically is already the winner. Just by
he sells the most shirts.
Right,
Well,
exactly.
Yeah.
He's our prime
baby.
He's the Stone Cold Steve Austin of our.
That's right. That's right.
Here.
He's our prime merch mover. Just wait until we get those pillows made. All right. You are watching us on the Needless Things YouTube channel, where you can catch us generally on alternating Mondays, but you can catch us every single Friday wherever you get your podcasts. We have a new segment episode coming up next week with a couple of things we've already picked out, but that is all audio all the time. And then our next live stream will be right here on the network, July the 28th. Put it on your calendar, July 28th at 8 p.m. We will be back live. But between now and then, you can go to Audible Interlude Podcast on Instagram, check out the pinned stories, and get yourself some sweet Audible Interlude merchandise like I'm wearing right now. This is, we make like $1 or $2 off of this from TeePublic. We want you to get it to visibly show your support for the show. We want to see these shirts being worn out in public. We've got everything from the traditional logo to a little chest pocket logo to the tactical shovel shirt, which is our second best-selling shirt. And then, of course, the legendary Cobra intern shirt, the most popular of the bunch. But again, check us out wherever you get your podcasts. Click the follow button, give us a 5-star review, help support the show in any way you can. All right.
C.S. Sherman wants to know, what accessories come with a classified Legion Cub figure?
Fair question.
So I already answered. It would be a Kindle Fire and the smell of regret.
So yeah, that next live stream, July 28th, and then you can catch us live at DragonCon once again, Labor Day weekend, right here in Atlanta. DragonCon is the biggest and best pop culture celebration, really in the world, I think, at this point. We'll be doing a live panel there and potentially a little more. There are a couple things that we're inquiring about, but we will for sure be doing a panel with the DragonCon American Sci-Fi Classics track, most likely on Friday, but we'll see what happens. Everybody just keep your eyes on our socials, and we will keep you posted.
An Audible Interlude kilt-blowing appearance.
I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to go ahead and say no on that.
Do they
it
even
is.
still
They
do that?
Yeah, they do still do it.
Wow, I thought that went the way of the Dawn costume contest.
No, Ginny Breeden, I think, isn't that her name?
Wow.
Is still there every year. As a matter of fact, I think we followed it. Now, this was years ago, but I believe, no, they were following us. They were after the game show, and we didn't get cleared out fast enough, and some people got upset.
Oh.
But it's not the first time the game show has upset people, and it will not be the last. All right, the Audible Army Facebook group is a thing. I am putting a link in the comments right now. It's probably only going to work on desktops. So there you go. The link is in the chat. If you would like to join, you can send a message with your email address to Audible Interlude Podcast on Instagram, and we will add you to the group. It is Audible Army Facebook group. We've got a very special exclusive post going up tomorrow at 8 a.m. for members only, so keep an eye on that. If you would, yes, throw that up there.
Jesse wants to know, Joe Lanta?
Joe Lanta?
Like
Why,
Joe
yes,
Mama?
please. Yes, we are currently planning on being at Jolanta. I believe we are going to be presenting there as well. As to what, we're still working on it because Dragon Con is obviously the big thing in our sights right now.
I'm going to rank all of the Joes from Atlanta. Spoiler alert. We know who number 1 is.
And the least popular as
That's
well.
right.
We know right off the top of our heads. All right. Oh, Needless Things YouTube channel. Also lots of reviews. Tons of reviews. G.I. Joe stuff's gone up recently. All different toy lines. I've got the just to throw it up here just for fun. I will be reviewing the Howling Werewolf from NECA next week, which this thing is gigantic. And look at this neat little guy.
Ooh.
So this is from Hastel Toys, who generally does retro-style wrestling figures like the old WWF Hasbro figures. But he did a Santa Claus because he's just into making fun toys. It's on a really thick, sturdy card back. It's that classic WWF Hasbro style, but it's Santa. And it comes
it's not a Santa Claus?
No, it's not. I would not be surprised to see that, though. But it comes with an extra hat that you can put on one of your wrestling figures to help celebrate.
Oh, nice.
So I'll be reviewing that next week as well.
Ooh.
So check out the Needless Things YouTube channel. Let's see here. Look at this. Already got people jumping on this. Ritz Murphy, what is happening? Good to see you. M. David Small, welcome to the group. All right. So that's that. Well, guys, I don't have any. We've got some news that's really more follow-up than it is news, but it felt significant enough to be news.
Right.
I don't really have any follow-up, though. Do you guys have anything?
Mm-mm.
No, it's been a pretty quiet week.
So, oh my gosh, why is this so gigantic? Calm down, Major. I'm going to share a little something here. This is another thing that is from a wrestling figure company, but this went on sale today, and I bought one. Noel and Kristian, you have not seen this yet. Get ready. Group, get ready. Because the Kurt Sloan Kickboxer figure from the dancing scene is currently available at collectmajor.com. This is an 8-inch LJN style action figure. If you don't know, Collect Major has been producing basically companion figures to the old LJN line. They've been signing talents that weren't made at the time and also continuing with some independent talent. They've got a Shotzi Blackheart figure coming out. They're doing a wide variety of things. And this is their newest offering. And I mean, I couldn't not get this. It's too ridiculous. All their stuff is really solid, really high quality. They are very, very, well, I'd say they're almost identical to the original LJNs, except the sculpt and the paint and everything are far superior. So again, this is a pre-order. This is a 1 of 1,000 figure of Kurt Sloan from Kickboxer from the dance scene in Kickboxer. The ship's in November. And here is where you guys know how I'll rationalize things. So these are $50 a piece because it's expensive to make toys now, especially a run of 1,000. 1,000 is nothing.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to buy a vinyl collectible figure of a comparable size, it would probably be $125. And artistically, this is at least on par with most of what I see in that market. So that's how I'm looking at these, as pieces of art. Because I mean, look at this.
I mean, right.
How
else would you describe this?
So that is collectmajor.com. They've got some other stuff available right now as well. They've got a new Danhausen figure that just went up. They've got Jay and Silent Bob action figures, or is it? I think it's actually Blunt Man and Chronic.
That sounds
I was going to say, and also like they're licensing these things, and if you're a smaller company, it's going to cost you a higher percentage of your production cost.
So yeah, they're now these are smaller figures based on the old bendies. So the Just Toys bendies. So they're a little lower price point. But yeah, you can see Blunt Man, Chronic, and Buddy Christ. They've released Jay and Silent Bob previously. But anyway, check out collectmajor.com. They're just they're doing really fun stuff. And my suggestion was, if you're doing that Kurt Sloan, well, then we need Dutch and Dylan posed with the handshake. Like, it's got to happen, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if it does.
So Steve Martin wants to know, does it do the splits and butt jiggle? If so, he's the Christmas gift for everyone this year. Now, the old LJN figures, I seem to remember the plastic they used does have some wiggle to it.
A little bit, but also I wouldn't be surprised if they did like a Comic-Con exclusive in the splits with like 2 chairs or something.
Right.
Like there's all kinds of, with that kind of figure and the intent of it, which is to be a piece of art you put on your shelf. Like there's a lot of stuff they can do without worrying about like articulation and how the legs are going to go out and, you know, whatever else. Like there's a lot of fun stuff they can get done. Oh, and they've also previously, they offered a Rambo figure from First Blood. So this is branching off into 80s action is definitely a big part of where the company's headed. All right, so that was a sort of follow-up.
Real quickly, we also have Rexship85 asking, Kentuckiana G.I. Joe Expo this weekend?
So people have been recommending that to us from the start.
Mm-hmm.
And every indication I have is that they don't do panels and they don't really have guests. Like it seems like it's really more of a toy show. And
So,
I'm not going to Kentucky.
You wouldn't go to Kentucky
for a toy show? No.
But I wanted to let Rexship know, as well as the folks, I think it was on our last live stream that went to the DFW show. I still want to get with you all to hear about those shows, because I would love to be able to report about them and let the rest of the fandom know. Like, because obviously we weren't able to make it to DFW either, but I saw, you know, on social media, quite a lot happen there. So I would like to do a follow up for all of these other shows that were not there. So
yeah, that's actually a good idea. So yeah, anybody in the Audible Army that attends any of these shows, send Legion Cub a little, you know, just some bullet points, whatever, however you want to package it. But if you want to contribute a little follow up, you know, we'll credit you, and Kristian will do a little rundown after you send it in. We'd love to have some on the street reporters for the events that we're not able to attend.
You know, the mail runs 24/7, but it's time for my first break.
All right, let's see. What else have we got before we get down to business? Okay, we're going to do a little follow-up on the Snowcat here, because the Snowcat, obviously struggling a little bit. I'm going to refresh the page right now. Well, I say struggling. It's just not performing the same as the other classified Haslabs.
And I have a question about that, especially with you saying you're refreshing the page, because I think it was the Dragonfly. Remember how, granted, it was down to like the last 24 hours, or, you know, we're basically like, oh, it wasn't showing all the new counts for the backers, or was that, I don't know, it was one of the Haslabs. And I feel like we've been at 6,892 for like a day.
It's been going up an average of, I think, like 70 a day for the past 4 days. It's very slow.
It just seems like it's been in the same spot, and I was like, is this moving? Like, do I need to start doing screenshots?
If you check out Geek Dad Life, he's got comparisons with the other G.I. Joe Haslabs, including the Sky Striker, which this is currently outperforming the Sky Striker. I didn't want to share all their info because it's worth going to the website to check out. But go check out Geek Dad Life. It is a very by the numbers, like detail oriented graphs and stuff. It's an interesting look, and it's certainly more research than I'm ever going to do. I still, this is still going to fund for sure. I still believe it's going to finish just shy of 20,000. I think all of the tiers are going to get unlocked. It's just going to be a slow road with the last. Well, I think San Diego Comic-Con and beyond is when we're going to have more growth in the numbers. And then, of course, the last day is always huge.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, one we'll be talking about in a minute will demonstrate just how big the last day of a Kickstarter or a crowdfund can be. So there's our numbers update. Let's reevaluate those stretch goals, because I will admit, looking at so there's our base offering, which this is the subject of a lot of debate as well. And we've talked about this before, but I'll reiterate what I'm looking at right now in this picture is $325 worth of product to me. I see the value here. I'm done. If this is all I get, I'm okay with that. And to go back, if you guys remember that Nitro entryway that Mattel tried to put out, the WCW Nitro stage, with that, I did not see the value in the base offering, and I didn't back it. And I think everybody sort of needs to judge things for themselves. Stretch goals are stretch goals and should be viewed as such. So if you look at this and you don't see 325, doesn't mean it's overpriced, because I believe they've priced it where they need to price it. They know more about this stuff than I do. But if it's too expensive, or if you personally don't see that value, then don't back it. We are not a support the brand, make the thing happen, let's go show. We are a practical show that's realistic about our budgets, about our space, and everything else. But calling this overpriced, I think, is incorrect, because we don't have the information to say whether it's overpriced or not. But we can say, I feel that it's too expensive for me.
Because I went back and was looking at the Hound from Gridiron, and the base offering of the Hound was $199. So yes, it is cheaper. It is smaller. It doesn't come with a figure, and if you want to do the next level add up to get the extra parts and pieces for it, that's another $169.99. So you're already paying more than what the Snowcat is, and that doesn't include any stretch goals, no figures. And I get it, not everybody will want the extra upgrades for that Arctic Hound, and that, again, that's totally fine. I guess for me, there are certain things that I'm seeing or hearing when people are talking about price where I'm like, wait a minute, that's not clicking with my brain, because some of the things you guys are pointing out actually are just as expensive, and you're not getting as much.
And another thing to me is, and this goes back to the way I collect, this is durable. I'm going to be able to open it, move it around, utilize it, put figures on it without worrying about anything breaking off.
Are you saying it's a toy?
I'm saying this is a toy.
No.
And it is not for display only.
It is.
That is a value to me. That is a value in and of itself.
I will say this: when they
put photography.
So when I first saw
wait.
Oh.
For toy photography.
when I saw this initially, and we just saw the initial pictures of it, and it said 325. I was like, okay, well, it's comparable in size of the Hiss, and it's been 3 years since the Hiss, or 2 years since the Hiss. So there's been a little inflation. Plus, we have other costs that are happening right now. And then when I saw it next to it, I was like, oh, this dwarfs the Hiss, and it's essentially the same price when you factor in inflation. So yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely well worth the 325 for just this base offering.
So I want to bring up Steve Martin's comment here, because this was something I thought of the day of, and I'm curious if this had any effect on you guys or our other listeners. So Steve says it's worth 325 right here. Once it's finished being fine-tuned and finalized, it'll be worth more to my eyes. Because I did think for the kickoff, and I think I even commented on it when we did our show, like they were constantly repeating about how we haven't worked this part out yet.
Right.
We're still figuring out this. Oh, be careful. We don't want to break this because it's just the working model. Like, I feel maybe like where you said San Diego, maybe if they have a more fine-tuned example at San Diego, then people can be on board.
When we got
they said they were packing that model up for San Diego, but I think just having the physical thing in front of people is going to make a difference.
Yeah.
Having your professional toy photographers or whatever, they're next to it, posting their own pictures of, because remember how impactful it was that the Rattler was there in person?
Mm-hmm.
I think once this gets that Comic-Con exposure, that's going to make a difference as well.
White Vegeta is chiming in with, I do believe it is overpriced as just the base offering. That being said, I have pre-ordered 2, and I'm debating a 3rd, because with the stretch goals, it's definitely worth it.
Well, again, expensive is fine to say. Overpriced, none of us are qualified to say unless we work for Hasbro and know the numbers.
Right.
We don't know what's overpriced and what's not. But personal value judgments, it's fine to say it's expensive. And look, it is $325 is a lot of money. Even in 2025, like, that's not chump change. I'm not saying anybody should just willy-nilly say, oh, I'm just going to buy this as an impulse buy. It is expensive, but overpriced is saying that you have the information to say they should have charged less for this, and we don't have that information. So let's talk about those stretch goals. Lady J up first. And look, I when we talked about them initially, I'm fine with the stretch goals because, as I said, the value is in the vehicle for me. So the stretch goals are extras. However, I can say these are not the most exciting stretch goals they could have chosen, in my opinion. I don't need these Flint or Lady J figures. And I probably wouldn't. I don't know that I would buy them if they were offered separately.
I'm of a mixed bag. Are they exciting? No, but I did want Arctic versions of characters to come with the Snowcat, because I being realistic, you're not getting Iceberg or Blizzard as your tier unlocks. I will say, for me, I am more excited about the Lady J than I am Flint, because that Lady J head sculpt is, and granted, this is just a render, but if the render turns out as good as the new cover girl did, this is the Lady J head sculpt that I've been wanting. I do think that the accessories that they're choosing to give to the unlocks should have been included with the base of
Yeah.
the Snowcat.
See, that's where we have a real problem, in that if everything is not unlocked, there are parts on the vehicle that interact with these accessories, and it is going to be incomplete if everything is not unlocked. And that, I think, is not a great way to do things.
No, that is the one thing with Lady J and Plant that
Well, with Lady J, I think that I'm fine with everything that she has there. It's Flint that has the accessories that I think really you need to have to complete that. With the coffee pot and the eggs and the sausages and all that.
And the skewers. I mean, there is
And
a
the
spot
skewers.
for the skewers on the Snowcat.
Mhm.
And if this isn't unlocked, those are just notches without a purpose.
Yeah. I mean, we know that there's fish.
Which, by the way, that's a new shirt. We're going to be putting that up tomorrow. Notches without a purpose.
We know there's fish that come with, they're with the bivouac, right?
Mhm.
So it's fine. We don't need to know that we dug out a hole in the ice and had a fishing pole. Like, you can imagine that they just got these fish,
Right.
and you know that they're cooking them.
Except you don't have a pan to cook them in. You have
right.
a hot
We have to-
plate for it,
Yeah.
Oh,
we
and you
have to
don't have
get
the
to Flint.
but
skewers
not
either.
the pan.
Yeah,
Right.
look, the skewers interact with the fish.
And maybe that was the thought process of putting Flint as a third unlock, because they figure we want, people are going to want all these accessories to make their whole set complete. So
Now, Wreckship says Arctic Flint and Jay aren't as exciting or enticing to me as Night Force, Ripcord, Glinda, and Crazy Legs, just because those three were new characters to the line, which is what I'm looking for.
I agree.
Which I think is a very, very good point. So if it wasn't Lady J, let's say it was Arctic Canary.
Right. Yeah.
Would that
would be
have
more
made a
enticing to
difference?
me,
Okay.
because I would rather get. I had always, when we were always talking about figures that might come with a Haslab, I tended to stay away from existing characters because that's not as exciting. Now, Baroness is an exception because she's a top seller and is always going to be a draw. But really, there are only a couple of characters in Joe that I feel work that way. Flint and Lady J are not two of them. I think new faces would have been much more exciting here. And I still stick with what I said, that I think Night Force Blizzard and Night Force Frostbite would have been very exciting. And again, it is the Arctic has night. So that makes sense. Like, it would have worked, and it would have continued the theme that they had with the Dragonfly. Which, speaking of which, we're now a year past Wild Bill, Ripcord, and Crazy Legs getting here with no sign of mainline releases of any of them. Just worth noting.
But I do think so with the Marvel Legends, when the Galactus came out, and granted, I know they're different departments within Hasbro, but I remember the Marvel Legends team letting everyone know that it would be at least a year or more for some of those, unlocked figures for the basic version of them to be released in the main line. So if you want them, get them now.
I'm just thinking of Cobra Commander, that retro Cobra Commander coming out very shortly after.
Right.
The Hiss. So yeah, just some things to consider. It's moving slow, and there are reasons why, for sure. And also, we can't, you got to take the economy into account. People are scared right now. People are not wanting to make big purchases. And I realize generally big purchases is like a car or something. But again, $325 is not small pocket change. Not to anybody here anyway.
Yeah, well, someone, I think it was C.S. Sherman mentioned earlier, he has a daughter that's at driving age. So he's got to
Yeah.
help with the car. He has an anniversary coming up, which I would say, depending on what state you live in, if no fault divorce is a thing, do that. Get your snowcat, and then just get back together in a year. It'll be cheaper, and more special,
Oh,
but
boy.
Nowhere
Million
Man
vows.
Child says no European Tiger Force Blizzard either because no one wants yellow snow. I think he was thinking of Frostbite, but
Well, look, considering
No, there was Tiger Force Frostbite was an American mainline.
Yeah.
oh, that's
Yeah,
right.
that's
That's
right.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to look up Tiger Force Blizzard then.
he's delightful. So considering Super 7 just released or just set up pre-orders for their Amazon exclusive LJN style Thunder Tank with an LJN style Panthro, how would you feel if down the line there was an Amazon exclusive Tiger Cat with Tiger Force Frostbite, Tiger Force Blizzard? Like, if they really just got crazy with it, I would be into that.
I would love it, but I would have to like start running a storage unit to start keeping all this stuff in.
Yeah, and that's another thing is space is consideration.
Yeah.
All right, before we move on, we got 2 more bullet points for the Snowcat. One, so if you remember when the Sky Striker was moving slow, they launched that Cobra campaign to add in the label sheets and the Cobra. What was the Cobra ground crew?
Mm-hmm. You got the
that it?
Cobra. You got Mickey Mouse Cobra Commander.
Oh, that was an
And
add-on.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
the Cobra ground crew and a trooper, I believe. Because there were
So
3 Cobra figures.
you have to imagine since then they have maybe had something loaded up for every following Haslab and just haven't had to use it. Do you think they might do something like that for the Snowcat? And if so, what might it be? I think
Here's something else I was thinking about, and it doesn't work. Oh, Thor Golden Cub in with
Thor
Super
Golden
Chat.
Cub in the Super Chat.
Sorry, I've been absent. Looking forward to Dragon.
Yes.
Absolutely.
See you there.
If you guys think back to the Hiss tank, remember the first set of unlocks were the different armor pieces. So it was like unlock number 1
yeah,
is the armor that goes on the treads. Unlock number 2 are these rockets that go on the sides. Because it was doing so well and blowing everything out of the water, they kept adding to it. That's how we ended up with as many figures that we got. Those armor. So I don't.
Did they add things, or was it like the Dragonfly where we knew that there were other unlocks coming? They just didn't reveal them until.
I feel like they added some things because
I feel like
because they had the one where you had to vote on the figure,
right,
the color scheme,
and that I want to say that came after. That wasn't part of the initial.
Pop Steve Martin's comment up there.
If they kept a Quinn in reserve, it would fund tomorrow.
If they popped a deluxe Arctic Quinn in there with just all kinds of accessories, whatever, that those numbers would go crazy. Just that one figure.
I have seen people mention Quinn, and I do think, an Arctic Quinn is a different figure than the jungle, camo Quinn that they did in the anniversary line. So I think you could do that, and that would be a figure that everyone has
that would be a crazy bump. It would be, in theory, a $35 retail price figure that they can throw into this thing, and I would imagine more than covered if it funds at all goals.
I mean, really, there's a lot of parts reuse that they could do to make an Arctic Quinn. You know, new head sculpt is probably the key most important part. I'm just saying,
I
if
think
they
he
want,
would
if it
be.
was something that wasn't already designed and pre-planned, if they needed to pull out a MacGuffin at the last second,
I don't think anything works that way. If
Mm.
it's going to be, if it was potentially possible at all, it's already been in development for a year. There's no we'll put a coat on Road Pig. You know, that's not how any of this works.
But if you put a dress on Road Pig,
Well, you just
see,
can't put lipstick on a Road Pig.
right? Sia Sherman says, "Spoiler alert: they're going to add a huge polar bear unlock." Which, I mean,
no, they're going to add a cardboard backdrop of the Arctic.
right?
It's just a big white piece of cardboard.
Yeah.
And
Oh man, I wish we'd thought of that earlier. I would have shot a whole commercial with just a white piece of poster board.
oh no, I thought about that for the opening at first, but I was like, I just don't want to add to it.
Right? Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Because even
Oh, I like
know-
that. Rachel's idea. I like that.
Rachel Salinas, a snow serpent officer could be a new character with no new tooling and would bring the Cobra angle into it. That also would be really cool. Because that sort of ties into what I was getting ready to say. I know their marketing is also planned in advance, but have you guys noticed that their social media for this Haslab has all been written in the voice of Cobra? So every single post starts off with, "Don't buy this, don't back this." And I'm like, you should already be circling your wagon, seeing what the reaction is and going, maybe we need to rephrase some of these things, because I feel like they're just giving fuel to the rage baiters.
I don't know. I think everybody kind of gets that. So here's a snow serpent officer. I like that idea, but all right, imagine this. What if the Cobra fire team, the 788 fire team, was going to be the enticing extra bundle thing for the hiss?
That's a big
Didn't
bundle.
Well, it's three figures. How many figures were there with the Sky Striker?
Yeah, but those are 3 3/4 inch figures, which
we know for a fact it's a minimal difference in production cost.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah, but because of you're
and
right.
actually,
tooling
and look at how
already
much they were
exists.
selling those O-rings for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like price-wise, even retail price-wise, it wasn't that big a difference. So really, that's not a crazy idea. So what if they threw in like a Cobra Arctic team?
Oh, Wreck Ship again. A minty green and white Range Viper would be amazing.
I like that.
Would, because that is a figure that is kind of not kind of. It's pricey on the second market. White Vegeta says Crazy Legs was an Audible. They had the name, which is why they did not have a digital render. It was originally going to be a gold head steel core.
I've seen that speculated, but has that ever been verified? I think that's
the
one
first
of those,
I've heard.
I think that's one of those very popular rumors, but I don't believe Hasbro has ever confirmed that.
But outside of Quinn, I definitely want to, like I said, I want to hear from the chat, not just like, if you guys are backing it or not, but what could be done to entice you to back it?
Well, somebody has been enticed. I'm gonna go ahead and say that we were responsible because one person has backed this since we started this segment. We're at $68.93. So
that's got to be us for sure. Okay, And finally, the last thing we're going to cover, because we do have to move on. So looking at the $325 price tag on this, how slow it's moving. Now, granted, it's the Snowcat, which to us is a very iconic and easily identifiable G.I. Joe vehicle. But looking at what's happening now, looking at the price tag on this, do we still think a tank of some kind is even feasible? And I still say I think the move would be to call it a Mobat, but basically make it a green Mauler. Like, it needs the functionality of the Mauler, because you can have the visual profile of the Mobat with all of the function of the Mauler, like the interior seating and everything else. Like, we know that can happen. But that's going to be probably, I mean, it's going to be bigger than the Snowcat. We're probably looking at a $450 or more item.
And I when they, they've done 2 CoverGirl figures already. Otherwise, I would have said the Wolverine would have been a perfect one as far as like the size of a vehicle that would be suitable for Haslab.
Yeah, but we need, like, I feel like it needs to be a tank.
Yeah.
Like an actual, because that is that original comic book cover, like the Mobat was a center, even though the toy, and look, I'll say it, the toy is garbage.
How
But
dare you?
I mean, it's just not, it's not good.
I will take the Mobat any day to the Mauler, but that's just me.
That is crazy. We'll get into that later.
Well,
but
it's a lot easier to find a complete Mobat than a complete Mauler.
Well, yeah, that's a fact. And look, you do need to have a Mobat in your vintage collection, but I just feel like without a tank, a proper tank, a Joe collection just isn't quite complete. And now that I'm thinking about it, it's kind of shocking they never did a better tank in the 25th anniversary.
Yeah.
Interesting. Anyway, so
but
do
here's
we think the tank is feasible?
I think it is, because there are other Kickstarters. Let's use the Cat's Lair for an example, right? That was a 500 plus shipping, Kickstarter. Now, granted, the Cobra Mothership didn't fund, but we all still believe if the O-rings had been announced, if we had had Wave 1, it would be a different beast.
If we'd had a year of O-rings prior to that Mothership,
right,
things would have been a little different.
Highlight White Vegeta's last post there too about Toy Wise.
Yeah,
but that's also the case of
closer to Vamp.
Yeah, but that's also the case with the Hiss tank and the Snowcat. Those vehicles were definitely made to be larger for classified purposes.
Once things are scaled for classified, they don't just increase by the factor of 3.75 versus 6. They have to increase by a factor of the scaling is just different. You can make a team like the Armadillo. You can make the Armadillo for a 1/18 scale toy line. If you made the Armadillo for classified, it's just going to have to be bigger. It's going to have to have a bigger footprint, have more detail. Like, it's going to have to be upscaled somewhat.
And they did it for that World of Tanks, and I love that design they did.
Yeah, I agree.
So I have 2 comments I want to pull up real quickly. So Rachel Salinas says the Mobat / Mauler were on my dream project list. The Snowcat wasn't, which absolutely fair. And whoops, sorry, the chat keeps moving. Tom Henry.
Good. That's a good.
All due respect, I don't think a tank is exciting enough for a Haslab.
I
think that is a very fair
understand
point.
that. However, I think once they showed it, because there was a time where I thought tanks were a little boring. But I think once they showed it and were like, here are the features, here's what it does, here's the interior, I think that would change a lot. Maybe not everybody. Some people are just going to say, I think tanks are boring, and I want stuff like the Havoc or the Snowcat or whatever. But I mean, a classified tank, I think, would be incredible.
So Reverend Scott Stripling says, is it fair to compare to Thundercats? There are a finite amount of sets they can do. G.I. Joe is way more vast. I agree with you. I think
Well,
if
that
I didn't
supports
make it
my
clear,
argument that they could do something
my
like that with Joe.
my comparison was more in the fact that like the Cat's Lair was a $500 price tag item. That is expensive. I never, with as slow as that thing moved, I did not think it would fund. And then in like the last week, it just, everybody that was waiting, I guess, decided to, and it funded. It didn't, I think it only made one of its unlocked tiers, maybe two, but it still funded. So if you had told me that Hasbro was going to do a $500 tank before that Cat's Lair, I would have said, there is no way this is going to fund. People just don't have that kind of money. I stand corrected. There are people that may be the only classified vehicle that they get because the Mobat is the definitive G.I. Joe vehicle.
And of course, just to crush everybody's souls, let me remind you that I guess 15 years ago, you could walk into Toys R Us and buy a 1/6 scale tank for $150.
And
So
there
let's
was
everybody just cry yourselves to sleep on your huge pillows with that one.
And there's another from Nowhere Man Child. Considering the Arctic Bivouac tier will get a green bivouac made, they should lean more into the mini playset / battle stations. Every year that occurs means less collector space for large vehicles. So I see what you're saying. But I also I have wanted those mini playsets, and if you told me that the Haslabs weren't going to come with figures so that we don't have these kind of debates, and the unlock tiers are mini playsets, like the tank comes with the anti-tank things from the old machine gun defense. Like if you were telling me we were getting stuff like that, I would be just as excited, if not more.
That would actually be really cool if the Mobat just came with Steeler and the tiers were all like the Forward Observer and
Right.
not the howitzer, what is the mortar defense?
Mortar defense, yeah.
Yeah.
That like if it was just those, I think people would really love that.
Mm-hmm.
And imagine the if I may, imagine the toy photography possibilities of all of those little play sets with your big new tank. All right, well, we've got to move on. We've still got a lot more to cover this episode, but the bottom line is Snowcat is cool. Snowcat is uniquely identifiable as G.I. Joe, as we have talked about many times in the past. It was adapted in Transformers. It's a Joe vehicle. There's no way around it. So if you want one, back it. If you don't. Again, we are not no, you got to support the brand. No, you got to buy what you like. That's what we do. Okay. Moving along to the actual news. We got a few things to talk about, but again, most of it is really more follow-up than actual news. I want to direct everyone to our pal Word Burglars Kickstarter. Rhymes with Comics Kickstarter is still in effect, and it is smashing stretch goals. It has funded at this point and is just continuing on. I mean, look, if you've heard any of our interviews, any of our conversations with Word Burglar, you know how awesome he is. You know his music, and this comic is a great thing that he's putting out. It's one of those dream projects for him. You can listen to my most recent interview with him here on the Needless Things YouTube channel or the Needless Things podcast. He goes into great detail about how important this project is to him. All the stretch goals are just being blown through. Stickers, magnets, bonus songs, oversized edition, all the stuff that we talked about before it launched on the episode is happening. We're up to free cassette tape soundtrack and well on our way to exclusive signed Warren Wardrobe lyrical card back. Everybody check out just Word Burglar Kickstarter. You know how to use Google. You know how to find it. We love supporting everything this guy does. And also Cobra Island Volume 2, news about that coming soon. All right, moving on to another Kickstarter from another friend of the show, Chris Scott's World War Hell funded, blew it out of the water last night, 10:10 p.m., finished at $124,087. It's something that's important to note, though. You know, we talk about certain toy lines or segments of toy lines being a niche of a niche. So that's a ton of money he raised. He had a $72,000 goal and raised $124,000. But that's from 545 backers. That is a teeny, tiny segment of the toy collecting population that came together because this project is incredible. But think about that Kurt Sloan figure that we looked at earlier in the show that's getting 1,000 of that wacky Kurt Sloan figure, but they're going to be a maximum of 545 sets of World War Hell. Think about the numbers there. Now, chances are there's going to be a backer kit follow-up because that's the common thing now with these Kickstarters, and you'll be able to get on board and order stuff eventually through there. But man, this I'm so excited for these. As I've said before, I went all in. This was a top priority for my finances. So stretch goals since the last time we checked in: unlocked Captain Winchester, unlocked Colonel Malum, the if you remember, the one who tore his own face off and likes to wear other people's faces. Then there was a bonus surprise unlock at 100,000 that had not been announced. And again, I did an interview with Chris before this launched. You can check it out here on the channel, where he talks in detail about each of these characters and all the thought that went into them. But this one we did not discuss. The Dead Shadows unlocked at 100,000. This doesn't feature all of the parts the way the other images do, but this is another modular figure. So this was just a surprise unlock. And then finally, right before this thing I think it made $14,000 in its last day.
Wow.
Yeah. So this was the final troop builder that was unlocked, the Revenant Horde. You can see all the parts there. So all in backers, there are 10 individual figure sets that you will be receiving. And I mean, I'm just so excited for this. I can't wait to talk to Chris again about, kind of what happens now and follow along with this all the way through to fulfillment. But if you've seen his stuff in person, you know how incredible it is. He has won Figure of the Year twice now, or top 10 Figure of the Year twice now for me. Our aesthetics just line up really well. So congratulations to Chris. Well-deserved victory for World War Hell. Let's see. Okay, here's another one that came out of nowhere. Oh, wait, okay. Oh, yeah, there is one more stretch goal that can be unlocked via backer kit, is my assumption, because that's how some other campaigns have done it. It's the Steamboat Willie figure that was shown at Joe Fest, which right here on the Needless Things YouTube channel, you can check out the World War Hell panel live from Joe Fest, where we found out it had funded. You can go watch that right now and see images of the Steamboat Willie figure. So I would imagine they'll include backer kit dollars in that, and that will be unlocked via backer kit down the road, because there's no way he's not going to do that figure somehow. All right. Oh, we got to talk about Cold Slither. There's going to be a Cold Slither comic. What? And the approach they're taking, I absolutely love, because it just shows this openness to weirdness and creativity. It is a real world. This is not part of the Energon Universe. It is not part of Larry Hama's Real American Hero. This is a real world, like, what if Cold Slither had been a real thing in the 80s? And it's like a follow-up to that. Written by friend of Needless Things, Tim Seeley. If you're not watching Revival on Sci-Fi, check it out. Tim is an awesome dude. I've been a fan of his for years now, and had the good fortune to talk to him on the Needless Things podcast a couple of months ago. So he's writing this. Very excited about this comic, because I don't think there's any way to have satisfyingly followed up on the original Cold Slither premise. So I like this take, because it's Hector Ramirez doing a behind the music type thing. And I love that concept. Okay, here's the one that I thought was next in the lineup. What do you guys think of this black and gold rhino?
It's black is always striking. I like it on the figures. I can't say that I'm a fan of how it looks on the vehicle, the black and the gold.
Well, it doesn't look like a heroic vehicle to me. I see this, and we think as Joe fans, Iron Grenadiers.
Yeah.
So, like, this looks like something that Destro would be running around in, rather than Matt Tracker.
So let me tell you what I see. A few years ago, there was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Optimus Prime that was a crossover project with a skateboard company. And it was this. It was black and gold like this. It is a beautiful set. It's a beautiful toy. And this immediately reminded me of that and made me want it. I did not order it, because if I'm going to own one, I want the regular Rhino. I want it to look like the original looked. But if there wasn't so much other stuff coming out, I 100% would have bought this, because I think it just looks awesome. But it's sold out very quickly.
Oh, wow.
It was only available through the Loyal Subjects website once they launched these pre-orders themselves, and it was sold out by the next day. So good for them. They clearly picked a winner. And I think that brings us to the end of the news, unless you guys had something else. All right, cool. Good, because we need to move along. We got a lot to cover, because we were not able to get to our favorite segment of the show on our last live stream, because there was so much to talk about. So it is time now for the segment everybody loves, the one you can follow along on socials. If you're part of the Audible Army Facebook group, we will be doing special posts there. Audible Interlude Podcast on Instagram or Blue Sky. Every time we're doing a live stream, we will ask for your input for a question called Sound Off, where the Audible Army tells us what you want us to talk about. And we've got a lot, because there are like 5 or 6 left over from 2 weeks ago that we do have to get to, because we will always answer every question eventually. I'm going to put that caveat on there, eventually. All right, here we go. Starting
all Sound Off episode one day to catch up.
Yeah, right. Well, didn't we already have to do that once? Like, there was basically,
because we had like 4 that we were backed up on.
Yeah. So starting with the Audible Army Facebook group, and our pal Gary Mitchell from Dragon Con American Sci-Fi Classics, the podcast of the podcast of Antimontidello. What is that story? The cask of somebody pronounce
the
it.
cask of Amontillado.
Yes, thank you. The Podcast of Amontillado, which
Podcast
I
of Amontillado.
recently was a guest on. You can find that episode wherever you get your podcasts. So Gary Mitchell says, okay, so we're over a year into the Energon Universe. What have been your top 3 moments from the various miniseries and the mainline book? Also, still waiting on the Cobra Interns Intergalactic Pythona Adventures IPA
Right.
updates. Cobra. All right, Gary Mitchell, we're going to start with the first portion of your sound off. Noel, what are your top 3 moments from the Energon Universe thus far?
And I did this as memorable moments, not necessarily favorite moments.
Sure.
Although I think my favorite moment was Cobra Commander with a smiley face drawn onto his mask, just watching, just unfazed at this beating that was going on in front of him. One of the images.
Slaughter.
This slaughter, yes. Probably
not the sergeant, but the Nemesis Enforcer.
Right. I would say the first time we see Hound transforming was another memorable moment, and then the moment that shocked us all, Rock and Roll being sacrificed in the first issue of the mainline comic.
Yeah, I like that you took the approach of memorable, because that opens it up a little bit more. Kristian, what about you?
Yeah, so Noel and I are going to repeat a lot. However, my one that is different is the reveal of Cobra Law. I don't think any of us saw that coming. I remember turning that page, and I think Dave and I were texting each other photos of it going, what?
We were like young people on TikTok sharing videos of celebrational dances.
Yes. Then absolutely the reveal of Hound, and unfortunately the gunning down of Rock and Roll. Another thing I didn't see coming.
So I've got one crossover with that, in that the reveal of Cobra Law in the Cobra Commander miniseries was massive, and probably my favorite thing that they've done, because what a bold take right out of the gate. The other one is the reveal of Astoria Carlton Ritz as Chameleon. I really love the way that they told that story. That character has kind of faded into the background, which is unfortunate, because I love me some Agent Cake. But I loved the way they told that, because you knew there was something about that Ritz character, but I didn't know it was going to be that. And then the big one that was spoiled for me, but I have to pick it because it quite literally changed comic books, is Jetfire in Void Rivals. One of, I don't think it's overstating things to say that that's one of the biggest moments in comic history, because nobody knew that was coming. What an amazing look. I love, some of the things I love most are when I actually get surprised. Like, I'm so mad about movie trailers now because they give everything away. Nothing surprises us anymore. As people, we're all of a certain age. We've been taking in pop culture and storytelling tropes and twists and turns. I dare say nobody that I'm looking at on the screen right now is overly surprised by anything that happens in the media that we take in. It's a rare occurrence for something to truly come out of nowhere, between spoilers and our own understanding of the language of pop culture media. But Jetfire in Void Rivals literally changed everything. It led us to where we are now in the Energon universe, and I don't think the impact of that moment can be overstated.
I'm going to have to go back and read Void Rivals at some point.
It is
so good.
Even aside from that, it is a phenomenal comic, not just, about fun science fiction stuff, but about like civilization, about how society is, how people. It's great, and it ties directly in with all the like. The way that they've done this, the Energon universe is brilliant because you can do what some of us have been doing, and just read the Joe stuff and be fine. You can read Joe and Transformers and be fine. But if you read all of it, you're getting this truly engrossing, rich literary experience of a whole new universe that's not like anything we've read before. It really is brilliant because you can read any of it on its own or you can read it all together. And it was a bold move because what these comic companies do now is they do the one title, they get you sucked in, and then they do the crossover and you end up having to read all the titles. And with this, it really does feel more like a choice. It's just that it's also good. You want to read all of it. All right, moving on. Let's see here. Steve Martin, also from the Audible Army Facebook group, with talks of the possibility of seeing an Energon Universe cartoon coming down range. Who would you like to see doing some of the voice acting? I personally am going to talk to my agent about trying out for the role of Snake Eyes. Best of luck, Steve Martin. I think you got it. I'm going to keep my answer simple. Voice actors. Not actors, not big Hollywood names. I want to see voice actors doing this work.
Mm-hmm.
I have two. And one, I don't know if they can get, but he's just such a great voice actor. So first off would be Alan Tudyk. He's my wild card. He might be out of the budget of
But
a
who is he?
nowadays. But, there are cartoons that aren't Family Guy that get Patrick Warburton.
Sure. But who does Alan Tudyk play? Clutch?
Well, I was thinking more like, personality-wise, Energon Universe, yeah. Because I was thinking like a tunnel rat, sort of, from Renegades. And I think the closest personality-wise, that kind of would be Clutch. Yeah.
I could see him being a great Clutch.
And this may not be a popular choice, but she is one of my favorite voice actors on the face of the planet. I don't think she gets near enough recognition as she should. But for Baroness, give me Cree Summer.
Oh,
she
yeah.
can act.
Oh, that would be great. Absolutely. And it blew my mind. I cannot remember the first cartoon that I remember seeing her name because I loved her on A Different World.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember what cartoon it was. What would it have been? Like not Justice League, something before that,
No,
right?
So I always recognized the voice without knowing it was the same actress from A Different World, because she was the voice of Nisa on the Ewoks cartoon. She was the voice of Ippi on
I didn't know it went back that
Inspector
far.
Gadget. Yeah, so when she was a little girl, because her father did a lot of voice work for Nelvana, he got her jobs. So she has been voice acting, I think I read somewhere, like since she was like 6 or 7.
She has so many credits, I can't find the thing that was the first thing I realized she was in. She was Elmira.
Yeah. So that's just it. It's like, I know most people think of her as just this raspy voice, but she's not. And I think she would bring something so different to Baroness, considering the Energon Universe Baroness is so different from what we got before. I would really love it if we got something really different than a Morgan Lofting impression.
Wow. I like it. I like it. All right.
Rexship says, who has an annoying voice as a voice actor? They should voice Risk.
Honestly,
we've lost Gilbert Gottfried, unfortunately.
Alan Tudyk could also do Risk.
That's true. Rachel Selena says Hank Azaria as Bazooka. Rekship also says Alan Tudyk could be Tomax and Zaymot.
Mhm.
And Will R. Mel Blanc as everyone. If he was still alive, I would be with you. But
well, and I will say, I'm sticking with our pal Brett White. Where are you, Brett White? Why are you not here tonight? I'm sticking with our pal Brett White's casting of Billy Eichner as Cobra Commander.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
The Cobra Commander I never realized I knew.
All right, moving along.
Yeah.
Gary Mitchell again in the Audible. This is from today's Sound Off post. That's why he's getting 2 in. From the Audible Army Facebook group. And again, if you want to join, send your email address to Audible Army Podcast on Instagram, and we'll get you added into the group. Gary Mitchell says, if Raptor is actually processing and filing Cobra's taxes, what do you think is their biggest deduction? Writing off fuel costs for the HISS tanks, chrome polish shared by Cobra Commander, Destro, and Mindbender, Croc Chow for Crocmaster, and which Joe does them for the team. And I'm going to be honest with you, I fell asleep reading that the first time through, so I was not able to come up with an answer because, my gosh. You know what? You know who we need to ask about this? Where's Scale Model Joe still in the chat?
Yeah.
We need to get Scale Model Joe's input on this one. If he's not here still, we'll get that input later on and get back to you on that. And then see you guys at Dragon Con. Be sure to write that off as a business expense. Yeah, that's a thing I'm having to learn about now.
Nowhere Man Child adding for the second part of Gary's question, in which Joe does them for the team. He says Alpine and Jinx both have finance clerk as secondary MOS.
Well, there you go. Good job, Audible Army.
I would say I have a feeling that Cobra has a great dental plan with which Dr. Mindbender oversees. So I think that's probably like one of the their biggest write-offs is how much they spend on their dental plan for their employees.
Only because Dr. Mindbender's getting a lot of money on the back end of that. I love it. I love it.
Dental plan. Right. Destro needs braces. Dental plan. Sorry.
Now we're moving to Audible Interlude Podcast on Instagram. Smog17, personal favorite female Cobra operative. I mean, my guess is the three of us are going to have the same answer because Baroness, like, I can't pick anybody other than her.
I almost feel like this question should be like excluding the Baroness.
Other than Baroness,
yes.
Right? But who else is there? There's.
I mean,
because Zorana's a dreadnought to me. Now, if you're talking about the cartoon, sure, she's Cobra, but to me, she's a dreadnought. What other female Cobra operatives are there?
I'm thinking of like one-offs that we got like in Sunbow. Like I liked the arc they did with like Cadet Dimming and Mara. That was a very compelling story they did with her.
Although is she really a Cobra operative?
Well, she was a Cobra experiment, I guess.
Oh, Vipra, good, yeah,
Vipra.
Okay, so if you're talking the sort of supporting characters from the media, there probably are a lot of selections, and we probably need to give this question a little bit more time. But yes, Baroness. This might be a weird. No, this could be a missing in action segment on a future episode where we just talk about female Cobra operatives who have not received proper figures.
Yeah, because we've got quite a few names in the chat that I'm.
I would even say I see Pythona.
But see, I see her as Cobra Law.
Right, I don't see her as Cobra. So Kristian, Munitia, although she's Mars, right?
Yeah.
Is she Cobra? She's not really Cobra. She's Mars. But yeah, Kristian, write all this down. We'll follow up on this later.
Mistress Armada.
Knox Levitt 1, Best Joe Fest Acquisition. We'll go back to Noel.
Well, I was going to say I will share it in Joe and Tell.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Save it. Kristian?
Well, I'm not sharing mine in Joe and Tell. It was going to be saved for a later Joe and Tell. So I'm just going to go ahead and show it now.
Just say it's a later Joe and Tell. That's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
We've got a lot of these to get through, so that's fine.
Okay.
And I'm going to say mine is the Sky Shark that I already talked about last live stream.
Then I will say the friends we met.
Oh. I guess I could say I did share last week my Panther, Action Force Panther, and SMS or MMS. That was
nice.
Pretty good Joe Fest acquisition.
Yeah.
For me.
Those are like nice, unique. Well, not unique, but you know what I mean. Like you put those on the shelf, and that's something special.
Yeah.
All right, this is from Audible Interlude podcast on Blue Sky. Tom Henry, our fan extreme. We know 3 members of Night Force in the Energon Universe. Who else do you think fits on the team, and or who would you like to see round out that team? Do you think Jinx is a possibility? And I have put a pin in this for a future segment. I think there's a lot of discussion to be had here, so we're going to address this on a future episode. Jason's Joe's coming in hot with a lot of words. This is from Audible Interlude podcast on Instagram. I'm super jealous of everyone who got to go to Joe Fest. I would like to go in the future, but it would be a big ask logistically. Is the show family friendly? I have 7 and 8-year-old sons who are Joe fans, and if we could make it a boys trip, it would be an easier sell. Is the show kid friendly? 100% yes, family friendly show. G rated across the board. Absolutely a family. And when we started going 6 years ago, my son was 11, and definitely family friendly, 100%. Be confident bringing your kids, making it a boys trip, or doing whatever you want to do. Yes. And then follow up, what else is there to do in Augusta in case the whole family goes? My wife and daughter are very much not Joe fans. So I couldn't tell you that because Joe Fest, there is enough there to keep you occupied for 3 days. Now, I know there are some other toy stores. There's a record store. Like there's some historical stuff in Augusta, but I've never explored any of it because Joe Fest is all you need.
I think he's saying that they're not Joe fans, and so yes,
right.
trying to find non-Joe Fest.
Yeah, that's what
things.
I said.
Okay.
It says Joe fans,
I
did read it as not Joe fans, but I can't speak to that because I don't know. Aside from walking alongside the river.
Hopefully your wife and daughter like relaxing at the hotel and maybe just pampering themselves because as someone who has stayed off property for every single one, there's not a heck of a lot. It's just kind of a small town.
And I will throw this out there as a bit of a condemnation. Don't use bed and breakfasts. More on that on the Needless Things podcast. They are destroying America. Look it up. All right. Moving on. Scott Stripling Art, no question, just thanks for reigniting my Joe passion, which led me to Joe Fest. Meeting Larry Hama wasn't really something I thought about before. Meeting Noel and Kristian was awesome, and seeing Dave after many years was really cool. Keep it up. We will keep it up forever and ever until we are in the ground. And it was awesome seeing you at Joe Fest. Mm-hmm. It's a great place to hang out, to meet people, and I'm glad you got out and got to have some fun. I think that's the big thing, is we're also immersed in our screens that it's easy to forget how wonderful it is to see people in person, to have these tactile experiences of digging through bins, of looking at stuff, of meeting people, of talking to people. Being at that table as much as I could be there all weekend was rewarding in a way that none of this social media BS is. So get out when you can.
Just don't get out of the live stream right now. Wait
No,
until
stay
we're
in the
done.
live stream. This
But
screen
get out
is
to meet
good.
us.
This screen is good. All right. Joe Hunter 73. I want to hear more about the Haslab bivouac. Seriously, I now want to go get a second one of the original and customize it. Right? Like that was because somebody brought that up in the last live stream, that it was actually kind of shocking there had never been another release of that. And I agree. Like at this point, like I'm ready to go full Noel and just start buying like every bivouac I see just to repaint them. Yeah, I love the idea, and I surely there are the original custom bivouacs out there. I just don't.
I've not thought to look.
Right. It's got to be a thing, though. How easy is that?
But I want to add to this. One of the things that the Snowcat has done, I have got messages from at least 2 people asking what the bivouac was because they don't remember it. So getting to introduce people to that aspect of Joe and hearing them get excited about it, I'm like, yes, that's great.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've talked about our love of those little world building sets many, many times over the years.
And they're great for...
That's right. I'm not going to bring it up now because I'd have to go too far back in the slides. But yes, toy photography.
Oh my gosh.
Throw up, well, wait,
Nowhere
real quick.
Man Child says Night Force Bivouac sells itself. But can they find it if they have to leave?
Good point. Throw up Jesse Gilmore's comment there as well. Just as a follow-up.
Sorry, it keeps moving. Jesse Gilmore just bought an 8-year-old. Brought, not bought. That's a whole different part of Augusta. Just brought an 8-year-old and my newborn with me to Joe Fest. Very much recommend as family friendly.
Absolutely. Yeah, Scale Model Joe's, you get out of here with that negativity. We don't need it.
No Tiger Force bivouacs, please.
Yes, when they do the Tiger Cat, Tiger Force bivouac.
I want I want a Tiger Force bivouac, and I want a Python Patrol observation station, whatever thing.
Oh,
whatever
instead
that's
of
called.
the bunker?
I can't ever remember what that thing's called. No, not the bunker. Well, yeah, the bunker also. But
right,
no,
but the Televiper one, I have
Watchtower?
one, and I
no,
can't
the
remember.
blue thing that's on the little legs, observation post. What is it called?
I gotta look it up real quick.
It's like a little building.
Surveillance port.
Surveillance port. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Scale Model Joe's. Yes, I want a Python Patrol surveillance port.
But a Tiger Force bivouac, I mean, wouldn't it also just have like a giant target sticker to put on the top? Because you're not hiding.
I wish I could put my finger on your lips right now. Just all right, we got to keep moving. White Vegeta commented, now that Snowcat has been confirmed and we know all the stretch goals, who would be in your 3-man add-on similar to Fire Team 788? I think we sort of halfway touched on that, but I'll just throw it out there. I still want my Arctic Sci-Fi and then Arctic Alpine, Arctic Bazooka. I think it would be a great little set. What about you guys? And this is like same way as the Hiss Tank one was, just after it's come out, an additional thing that you buy.
I went with, basically because we got the Flint and Lady J, which are very similar to the ones we got in the opening of G.I. Joe the movie. I did Arctic Gung Ho, Quick Kick, and Mainframe.
Oh, I like it.
And Mainframe, that's how you get that figure into the line.
That's smart.
So because I did these as sort of who do I personally want, as well as my usual oddball choice. So I had Arctic Shipwreck, Arctic Scarlet. I also had Arctic Quick Kick. However, he's color changing because Quick Kick doesn't wear shoes or a shirt in Arctic weather. So So much like the
So you put him in the
Super 7
freezer.
Lion-O, he turns blue with
I mean
frostbite.
the classified the second Zartan they put out that you put in the freezer and he turns blue. Devinder 290675 future Haslabs and what the fans really want. I think we kind of hit on that earlier. It will be an ongoing topic for as long as this show is around. Now we're up to, well, I think with Devinder we were up to the current ones. Smog 17, least favorite Cobra Vipers. And just off the top of my head, talked about recently, that original Frag Viper figure, I'm not a fan.
There's so many like post 88 or 89 Viper figures that just, they're hideous. I mean, I get kind of the kitsch factor looking at him now, but like the Rock Viper with his standard issue mustache, I can't go for that. No can do.
Yeah, it's for me. It's definitely a toss up between the Rock Viper and that original Frag Viper. If you put the two in front of me, I would probably buy the Rock Viper before the Frag.
I like the Rock
he's
Viper.
A little, at least has like the pattern and stuff. But that original Frag Viper is just garbage.
Yeah. And finally, Tom Henry. So when do you think we're going to see Hector Ramirez in the Energon Universe, and what dark secret is he hiding? And just to remind everybody, that Cold Slither comic is not set in the Energon Universe. However, since they're using the character, it wouldn't surprise me to see him pop up at some point. And my theory is he is actually going to be a Cobra Law operative sent to sow dissent among humanity, similar to Nam Enor from the Star Wars novels.
I was going to say that's how we introduce pretenders into the Energon Universe.
Yes.
OMG. Because I am probably one of the few, like you can count them on two hands, number of people that actually like the pretender concept in Transformers.
Oh wait, this is not our last one because
that is brilliant, Noel.
Audible Interlude podcast on Instagram has not been sending me notifications, so 3 came in right before showtime that I just happened to look and see. So, Silent Interlude, Heavy Armor Toys new Kickstarter looks like it has some pretty cool stuff, especially if it hits the unlocks. Real quick, we'll take a look at this.
I looked at these a while back when they first.
Well, this is the new Kickstarter.
Okay.
The old one is
not
like the generic
Navy
sailors, and well, it's these guys were the original one. Now this is more specific character based. It seems like O-ring. This is International Freedom Force. These are O-ring style action figures, and if you look through, you can see some of the character designs, some pretty cool looking stuff. We'll just scroll through some of this. Everybody check out, if you look up Heavy Armor Toys Kickstarter, that'll take you to it. But yeah, I agree. This is some cool looking stuff. And
a Muldoon figure if you need to complete your Jurassic Park O-rings.
Clever. Well, no, he's not wearing shorts. He needs to be
true, yes.
Shorts. I need my Muldoons in shorts. So yeah, cool designs. That's very bomb straight.
Yeah. There's a little Action Force action going on there. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not inspired by their character art very much, and I have, I'd like to see what these figures actually like in person, because
you can sort of look at the ones that actually came out and get a take. Like they look good. They're good looking figures, and there's a statement in here. They're always looking to improve upon our figures. We have 2 areas that are our main focus for improvement: redesign hips to allow for better seated posing, redesign shoulders to fill in the gaps. Because if you look at the originals here, they are kind of like the shoulders aren't completely aesthetically pleasing. They're improving that. But anyway, I think this is cool. It's worth a look.
Yeah, and I like the idea
model.
of the Navy ones. If I had a USS Flag, getting all those additional sailors and stuff would have been great.
Right.
Scale Model Joe's brings up that you can back the figures carded or just bagged. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I actually
packaging gets thrown away in my house.
I've got a review of the Lady J Toys Special Mission Augusta set coming up on the Needless Things YouTube channel, and I mentioned like, hey, just sell me everything in bags like this.
Yeah,
I do not need your fancy card backs.
Well, I mean, when I funded Operation Recall, and I'm never taking those things out of those packages because I want to display them in those packages. I almost feel like I need to buy two. Well, I mean, those packages are half the appeal for me.
Oh, interesting.
Same thing with like the original Reaction figures, not the Reaction Plus. I mean, like, you know what? Those to me, I don't. The figures aren't doing anything for me on their own, but they look great in the package.
Those are a little easier to leave in the package, though, because you just got 5 points of articulation, minimal accessories, whereas the Operation Recall, I can't leave those in the package.
Yeah, I wanted to get two just for that purpose of each one.
Oh, wow.
But I didn't wind up doing it.
I want to bring up one comment based off of our last question. Nowhere Man Child with Headmaster Ramirez.
Yes.
One, it's a phenomenal name, and two, immediately gave me vibes of that scene in The Thing. So instead of like robotic Headmaster, it's almost biological. So it has that body horror that Dave loves so well.
Yeah. All right, let's keep going. White Vegeta, speculation time. First off, what do you think the final total for Snowcat will be? Personally, 22,000. I think it'll be just under 20 is my guess. Are you guys sticking with your guesses from last time?
Mm-hmm.
That I don't remember what they are, but I'm sure Scale Model Joes can tell us.
I think Noel and I were like closer to 18.
Yeah, 18's the number that I still had in my head.
Okay. Also, do you think Hasbro tried to sweeten the deal by adding something extra? We actually talked about that earlier. In a similar vein to the Cobra figures offered with the Sky Striker. Also, what do you recommend they do? I would like to see some alternative weapons like machine guns instead of snow torpedoes. Some simple name drops. I got V2 Stalker Deluxe figure or Iceberg. And on a side note, the Big Bad getting restocked on Arctic Bats in 2026 now makes more sense.
I didn't know they were getting restocked.
Yeah, I didn't realize that either. Yeah, I like all of that, and I do like the idea of alternate stuff, kind of, which I think Kristian kind of talked about earlier. The possibility of just having things other than the skipedos. Is that what we settled on? Porskitos. Yeah, I think all that could be interesting. And now, finally, Agent Chuckles 9. As a youngster, I used to put Chuckles' head, because we both have had blonde hair, on many different bodies. Snake Eyes version 2, Falcon, etc. Did you guys ever customize your figures as kids, even for just one battle? And what was your favorite configuration? I think I've talked about this before, that at one point later in my collecting, I really wanted all my top Joes to have camouflage pants for some reason. So I swapped out, and I don't remember who, but I just remember feeling like these figures needed camouflage pants. So like my top guys, I put, I guess, Beachhead, Footloose. I don't know. I don't remember the swapping I did, but I remember doing that.
Never.
Yeah. I do remember discovering you could take them apart and swap things around, and I remember putting a couple of like different heads on bodies and whatnot, but I think I pretty quickly put them back to where they originated, because I didn't want to mess up my Joe figures.
Yeah.
I had friends that did that, and it always mortified me. I didn't get into any sort of customizing until I was in college.
My friends would put M80s in their Joe figures.
Terrible people.
That was the common thing. All right. Well, it is now time for the final segment of the show, one that we call Joe and Tell, where we each have something to share here on the video and talk about. May have a little story attached, may just be a neat thing we want to, a recent acquisition, whatever the case may be. Kristian, do you have a Joe and Tell?
I do. So bear with me for a second, folks. I know this is a G.I. Joe podcast. Sometimes we save our G.I. Joe adjacent stuff for knowing is half the battle, but I wanted to show you all this really cool Death Star laser that I recently acquired. Check that out. And all good Star Wars Death Star lasers come with a G.I. Joe sticker right on them.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, just recently got this bad boy off of eBay for pennies because it was mislabeled, and I couldn't say no because
that's hilarious.
It's got the computer.
Well, it's got the console, which is often missing.
Right.
For anybody listening, this is actually a
HAL.
It's
a HAL. And it's version 1.5 of Grand Slam, which I hate these. The painted on pads instead of the sculpted. It just looks so cheap.
Yeah.
He's in like his joints and stuff, everything's tight. He just has a lot of paint wear. But I was like, wow, I didn't know those existed on the Death Star, and I thank you, seller, for not paying attention to the sticker.
That's
nice.
Great. That's great. All right, I will go next because I've got I'm taking a little break from my Joe Fest acquisitions because on Instagram I came across, and I cannot remember who I bought it from off the top of my head, but I have decided I need to get back to buying the alternate versions of Firefly, like the repaints and stuff. And one of the Instagram sellers put up the BJ's Wholesale Firefly, which is a very ugly figure. It has like a brown balaclava, goldish colored gloves and boots. It's red jumpsuit with blue web gear. It is not a nice looking figure. And it was as you see it, with just the little hand blaster and a battle stand from one of the battle packs or whatever. Yeah. Which they just threw in. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll get the price. The price shipped was what I considered to be right. And since it's a weird variation of Firefly, I didn't feel like I needed all of the accessories that came with it, because it is mostly just a random assortment of guns. Where if you look up the BJ's Wholesale G.I. Joe set, it's just kind of random stuff. But the real story here is not this BJ's Wholesale Firefly. It is the one that I later went on to eBay and purchased, because I decided I really did need to have the random blasters, because it does come with the grease gun, the original Firefly's grease gun. And the seller went to the trouble of cutting the tray out and was selling each figure individually. But I got this for less than I paid for the Instagram one. And it included the file card, which the figure looks nothing like what you're looking at on this file card here.
Not at all.
And threw in, I thought this was really cool, the seller threw in a couple of flag points.
Nice.
It's pretty neat. So I now have
more of those you can mail in for your Sergeant Slaughter figure.
Yeah, right. So I now
Actually,
have...
I guess he was the certificates. Never mind. 2
of this particularly ugly variant of Firefly.
Well, friend of the pod, Ryan Schweck, says Dave needed more BJs.
Well, who doesn't, really?
And I like scale model Joe's. The box set accessories in that era were just whatever they swept up off the
That is-
factory floor.
That is a fact. Yeah.
Those like 2 or 3 backpacks that appear in every single
Oh my gosh.
figure.
And that one giant rifle that I can't remember who it originally came with, but oh no. Ew, you know what I just realized? The grease gun in this. Hang on, I got to put this back up. I hadn't even like really dug into this yet, but the grease gun this comes with has that stupid sound effect tab on it. Ah.
Yeah.
Awful. I wanted it because it's a nice silver color, which is something different, but I'm going to have to give him this other
I just take your Dremel to the little sound effect tabs.
Awful. I gotta get rid of one of these. All right, Noel.
All right. So I've got more Joe Fest acquisitions I'll get to eventually, but we were talking about like our favorite our best Joe Fest pickups. So I wanted to talk about this one because this was one of the last purchases I made on Sunday. I had seen part of this thing just sitting at a table, and it had a price on it that was a little high, but I knew that it's kind of one of those items that's a little bit more expensive to complete to begin with. Most of I've talked about this. 82 to 87 is my sweet spot. There's not much beyond those years that like are really high priority for me, but I have a complete, for the most part, with missing a few accessories, complete US Tiger Force collection now because I love the Tiger Force aesthetic. And it's like, if I've got Tiger Force, I got to start working on Python Patrol.
Yeah.
I picked up an Asp last year. It's not complete, but it's neat, the Python Asp. So I found the Python Conquest shell,
nice.
And it had been marked down on Sunday to about 40% off of what it was the day before.
Woo.
So I was like, it was just the shell, but it had both of the landing gear, and the covers for the landing gear were intact on them. It had the back jets, and it had these 2 wings. However, as you can see, that wing right there is not from the Python. It is from the original Conquest. And that's fine. These parts are the same. But then I was thinking, you know what? The rest of these parts are the same too. So just walking around the Joe Fest floor, within about 20 minutes, I completed all 4 of these yellow rockets. I got these 2. I am missing one of the tips on these right here. I had picked it up, but somehow I dropped it within a bin of accessories, and so I just got to complete that guy right there. And then these 2 front canards right here, I actually got those from Destro's Toy Den. These are the most expensive part to complete. They were about $5 a piece because they're in like the special case. They're not with all the other loose accessories, because these pieces are a little bit more expensive. But
yeah,
I mean, this thing is like now 99% complete. It's in great shape. I love it. I love this paint job.
I mean, I think that is the Stun is my favorite Python Patrol vehicle, but that is very close after it.
Yeah, it just like,
it looks great.
I like the Conquest more than a lot of people.
The actual Conquest.
Yeah, I like the Conquest more than a lot of people do, just because it was, it was a neat thing to get this like forward swept jet when I was a kid, because I always like seeing those experimental designs. But like this paint job, like the Python Patrol figures, they're real hit and miss.
Yeah, they are.
But the vehicles are really, really, really nice looking. So I guess I will now be looking for a bunch of Python Patrol figures and vehicles to complete that part of my collection.
Well, I've got to come back on real quick because I have just discovered something crazy. So this is the Instagram Firefly I got that came with a battle stand. That he's actually a little loose on the battle stand. This is the eBay Firefly, and the peg will not go into his foot. Isn't that crazy? Like, it won't go in at all. Weird. All right. Weirdness of G.I. Joe. We got to wrap things up because we are about to record our review of G.I. Joe #9, the Energon Universe comic. That will be available this Wednesday wherever you get your podcasts. Yeah, that's it. That's all the show we've got for this week. Kristian, where can we find that toy photography you do so well?
You can find me on Instagram and Blue Sky under the name Legion Cub.
Noel, tell us a little bit about The Finest.
The Finest is an international G.I. Joe costuming club that raises money for a wonderful charity called Canines for Warriors. Check us out next time you see us at a show, or go to thefinestcc.com to find out some more information.
Our music is by Andy Samford of electricminnowmusic.com. Follow us on Instagram and Blue Sky at Audible Interlude Podcast. Join the Audible Army Facebook group. Our next live stream is right here on the Needless Things YouTube channel on July the 28th. And then we'll be live at Dragon Con Labor Day weekend. Until then, yo, Joe.
Cool.